Hello summoners and welcome to another ProGuides video. My name is Christoph and in this video we're going to be discussing the meta of the preseason. If you're trying to get a head start on your preseason climb and want to know what our analysts think will be strong, you've come to the right place. In this video we'll be briefly mentioning some changes you might already know about from our other videos or from our own research, but more importantly, break down what will be strong and why. In other words, what you need to do to win your games. For our question of the day, which true damage skin is your favorite and why? I love the True Damage Echo skin. It has such a cool aesthetic and is honestly really sick. And if you guys want to stay up to date during your preseason climb, then check out ProGuides.com where we have a ton of resources to help you train for the actual regular season. There's nothing better than starting off this season in Plat or in Diamond during the preseason. So go to ProGuides.com right now and get a Challenger coach and start ranking up. Now that being said, let's get into the video. To start off, let's just mention the things that are going to be relevant throughout this video, namely alcoves, dragon, Rift Herald, item changes, and experience changes. Alcoves are definitely going to shake up the meta quite a bit. These narrow corridors are the perfect spots for certain champions to duke it out. In the top lane, Poppy, Malphite, Kennen, and Rumble are going to love these changes. In the bottom lane, Vayne, Ezreal, Misfortune, Nami, Bard, Xayah, and Rakan are also going to love these. The alcoves open up a new area for potential skirmishes to occur, and these champions have ways to abuse the narrow terrain to their advantage. In particular, we think that Rumble, Kennen, Xayah, and Rakan are absolutely lethal opponents in the side lanes when fighting in alcoves. If you play any of these champions regularly, you'll want to adjust to the new terrain that's being added and use it to your advantage. Do your best to bait out your opponents into fighting in these narrow corridors so you can land an easy stun against the wall, cover the entire corridor with your ultimate, or even jump in and out of it. There are also junglers who benefit from alcoves for similar reasons, such as Karthus and Kayn as well. These changes aren't going to significantly impact the mid lane meta, but the changes to neutral objectives definitely will. First up, let's talk about the dragon changes. If you're unfamiliar with them or want to know more, then check out one of our 2 Season 10 changes videos where we do cover them. Overall, however, the addition of Dragon Souls is going to change up the bottom lane meta quite a bit. Taking dragons is so much more valuable now because only one team can get a Dragon Soul. In other words, only one team will have all 5 members equipped with an advantageous buff over the other. Securing the first dragon, or possibly even the first 3 dragons, is going to come down to how well the bot lane is able to bully their opponents and also take lane priority. Our analysts believe that Caitlyn will be one of the most contested and influential picks during the preseason as a result of this. Regardless of which dragon spawns, Caitlyn's ability to take lane priority will either allow her team to secure early dragons, or instead make it a daunting and difficult task for opponents to accomplish. Some of the buffs are arguably stronger than the others, and our analysts highly suggest prioritizing Infernal and Ocean Dragons especially. Both of these souls are extremely powerful for combat, and nearly any champion can heavily benefit from them. The other souls are also powerful, but hit a smaller audience. You'll need to prioritize specific dragons, especially if you have key champions on your team. Here's a breakdown of some examples. First, let's go over the Infernal Soul. This soul makes your next attack or damaging spell deal bonus damage on a 3-second cooldown. You should always prioritize this or attempt to deny it from your opponents. This buff provides raw damage, and there isn't a situation where having more damage would be detrimental. The damage also scales with health, meaning that all champions can effectively utilize it. Okay, now let's talk about the Ocean Soul. After dealing damage, you gain immense regeneration over a few seconds. This soul is extremely powerful if you have a tank, Aatrox, Warwick, or Soraka on your team. These champions especially benefit heavily because of the immense amount of sustain it provides during team fights. Specifically, our analysts believe that Soraka with an Ocean Dragon soul will be one of the few cases where you might as well say go next if the enemy team manages to get this combination. The reason tanks and drain tanks benefit from this is because of how long they'll survive in team fights. The longer you manage to survive, the more regeneration you utilize. Therefore, you'll have more effective health in a team fight. This also means that if you play carry champions that weave in and out of fights like Ezreal, the Ocean Soul definitely packs a punch. Teams built around Poke and Siege also heavily abuse this soul because if they're able to trade any damage while avoiding hard engages, they'll regenerate a ton of health and win even harder. Okay, now let's talk about the Mountain Soul. The Mountain Soul provides a shield that lasts until broken and refreshes if you haven't taken damage for 5 seconds. Mountain Soul is an outlier as it's a soul that matters more based on your opponent's draft than your own. It's most valuable against divers and assassins. If they're not ridiculously ahead, the extra shielding will make it difficult for them to fully burst down their priority target. When your opponents have all-in champions like Rengar and Talon, you'll want to prioritize gathering a Mountain Soul. Okay, let's talk about the Cloud Soul now. Well, simply, you're going to gain movement speed. When you cast your ultimate, you gain even more bonus movement speed for a brief duration. This soul is the most situationally beneficial. It's definitely strong, but not in every scenario like the Infernal Soul. If you have champions that rely heavily on movement speed like Singed, Dr. Mundo, engaged supports, or assassins, it definitely holds some merit. Aside from this, the Cloud Soul is unfortunately only useful for your team if you're already ahead. The bonus movement speed makes it easier to rotate and also chase down your opponents in winning team fights. It's kind of a win more objective unless you have specific champions who benefit from it. On the opposite side of the map, Rift Herald changes up a lot of the top lane. In the same way that lane priority matters even more in the bot lane, Rift Herald makes lane priority up top even more impactful. Our analysts believe that Rumble, Cannon, and Malphite are going to be very powerful picks as a result of these changes. Aside from their immense strength in skirmishes revolving around alcoves, they're naturally strong laners in the right matchups. Cannon is a safe, ranged top laner who can win or go even in pretty much every matchup, so it's realistic to assume they can often take lane priority. Rumble is a known lane bully as he's able to simultaneously block damage while dealing a ton of it. Malphite, well, we all know about him. He's a hard counter to practically every physical damage champion because he gets stronger by building armor, which already counters attack damage. These champions are excellent team fighters and can also secure victories in small topside skirmishes with their powerful ultimates. Alternatively, they can also roam mid or teleport bottom to carry team fights. Off of said victories, this can transition into either taking Rift Herald or Dragon if they teleported down there. We already talked about a lot of dragons, so let's focus more on Herald. If you don't know, the Rift Herald can actually spawn twice in the same game next season. You need to make sure to slay her early on though, so that Baron doesn't reclaim the pit as its own. If you're playing top, mid, or jungle, you need to know whether or not you should value Rift Herald in each specific game. To find this answer, you have to understand the value of Dragon in each game in the way that we just discussed. Anytime Dragon isn't a game changer or particularly powerful for either team, your best bet is to play around Rift Herald instead. She nets a ton of gold and allows you to break turrets early on in the game, opening up more roam opportunities. The biggest reason why Rift Herald can be more valuable is because of the more tangible, immediate reward you get from her over dragons. Most of the buffs from dragons themselves, not their souls, have been nerfed, so they can take longer before they materialize into true power advantages. You only gain a dragon soul after slaying your 4th elemental dragon, meaning that it's definitely possible for a winning team to give up 3 and strong-arm the preceding fights to gatekeep the enemy team from their dragon soul for the rest of the game. It's definitely risky to give up 3 dragons, but giving up 2 dragons for 2 Rift Heralds is likely going to be worth it more often than it isn't. In other words, playing through top is a much more viable option than before. Jungle difference as well as mid lane difference can play a huge part in a top laner's success. As a mid laner, it's also more important to play champions who can take lane priority than before. Since the value of neutral objectives has risen, playing passive farming style laners is much harder to justify. Instead, lane dominant champions such as Aurelion Sol, Zed, and Talon can provide the necessary pressure to help secure objectives on either side. Additionally, champions like these that are good at roaming get bonus points. If you've watched our other videos, you'll know that we suggest mid laners make attempts to move with their jungler and dive top pretty often. The reasoning is simple. It'll be a 3v1, and the only defensive summoner spell they have is Flash, making it a reliable play to make. By playing around this and building topside advantages, you can more easily slay Rift Herald and gain gold leads by breaking turret plating. Another reason why Zed and Talon will be strong picks is because of the changes made to lethality items. To summarize the changes, some new items are being added, and there are some changes on the way to Duskblade and Edge of Night. Both of these changes are big, but Duskblade holds more weight. Duskblade is seeing a buff to its damage and lethality at the cost of its Blackout passive. Although it'll be an inconvenience to have to buy the Blackout passive separately, this extra damage lethality on Duskblade means that the power spike assassins find once they purchase it will be be even more impactful than before. In cases that they find team fighting to be difficult, one of the new items, Sanguine Blade, is a great option for them as well. This item provides a plethora of stat bonuses when its owner is nearby one or fewer champions. At the moment, they receive between 50 and 120% bonus attack speed in states of isolation. Essentially, what it does is it enables AD assassins to exert even more split push pressure, as they'll have even stronger 1v1s and take turrets faster than before. The role that's seeing the most direct changes, though, is going to be the jungle. Experience is changing across the map, with the jungle seeing the most differences. Duo lane XP is seeing a slight nerf, while solo lane XP a marginal buff. This won't change too much, but in the mid to late game, this might mean that someone is a level up or a level down for a couple of minutes compared to Season 9. On the other hand, Krug's XP is decreasing, and the Gromp camp is having its XP value increased. This means that both sides of the jungle can now net you level 3, opening up much more jungle diversity. Additionally, spawn timers are being lowered slightly, resulting in more XP and gold gains for power farming junglers, but less reward for each camp individually. We cover this in more depth in our Season 10 jungle video, so make sure to go ahead and check that out as well. As a result of the buffs to the blue side of the map as well as XP changes, we believe that some of the strongest junglers in the preseason will include Karthus, Olaf, and Kha'Zix because of their high damage and the fact that these blue side buffs help them out a ton. So, to summarize, you need to value dragons based on your team comp and understand when it's better to instead trade for Rift Heralds. Lane priority is also going to be a huge factor, as it'll help secure the neutral objectives, which are even more valuable than they were previously. Additionally, here's a recap of champions in each role that our analysts believe will be dominant as well. That's it for the video, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, if you guys are interested in getting better at League of Legends this preseason, check out ProGuides.com and find a coach right now. There's no better time to start learning the fundamentals of winning in League of Legends than the preseason. Good luck on your preseason climb. That's it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Good luck in your next few games, and we'll see you on the Rift.